Good evening, everyone. I hope everybody is doing well. Welcome to the 21st webinar hosted by probonopublico. This is an initiative by Govilkar Associates LLP. We are a small law firm based in Mumbai. The objective of this pro bono publico has been to ensure, or it is an attempt basically to try and make legal information and the legal principles more understandable to the common public, and to also help the general public understand the Indian legal system better. Over the course of the last couple of months, we have had several legal luminaries and several eminent people talk about law, the court processes, and different aspects of the same, in an attempt to ensure that there is a better understanding for litigants also about how they can approach the courts. Today, we have with us Mr. Sarang Yadwadkar. He is an architect and he has been a technical consultant for more than the last 4 decades. His experience has primarily been in environmental litigation. And the reason he is with us today is to talk to all of us about his experiences in the several litigations that he has been a part of, which is over 15 over the last or more than a decade. He will talk to us about the examples of the cases that he has been involved in, the judgments in that, and what have been his learnings from that. He will also give some pointers and guidelines on what litigants can do and what litigants should think about before entering into litigation, and particularly environmental litigation. He has been involved, like I said, in several important matters so far. One of them, for example, has been a case in Pune where in the Vithalwadi riverbed there was some construction that had happened, and he was instrumental in getting that removed, and the debris also had to be removed by the Pune Municipal Corporation. Then he was involved in the demarcation of flood lines for all rivers in Maharashtra. And then for the current metro line construction in Pune, there was some problem with the alignment which had also affected the riverbed. And he was a part of that litigation also, as also there were some encroachments in the riverbeds in and around Pune. And he also approached the appropriate tribunal and the courts to get that issue resolved. Some of these cases have already been over, a judgment has been passed on them, and some of them are still sub judice. So here we have today with us Mr. Sarang Yadwadkar, architect and technical consultant, and also a fellow of the Indian Institute of Architects. Mr. Yadwadkar, welcome.
Thanks, Mihir, and hello to everyone.
I hope you are doing well, sir.
Yeah. Thank you so much. And I hope all are safe at their homes and healthy.
Sure, sir.
Sir,
sorry, sir, go ahead.
Yeah.
So today, sir, we would just like to understand from you your experiences, and hopefully the viewers will be also able to benefit from your advice and guidance on how they can approach litigation, and in particular environmental litigation. So before we start off and before you jump into the examples and your experiences, I would like to understand some of your history and what made you enter litigation, and why particularly environmental litigation.
Yeah, thanks, Mihir. Let me make it very clear right at the outset that I am neither a lawyer nor a person qualified in environmental science. Whatever I am doing is from the perspective of that stupid common man who has seen environmental degradation for last so many decades and is paying very heavy price for it. Actually, it is very unfortunate. It's very unfortunate that we have to litigate to protect our environment from destruction. But we have to continue to fight for our next generation. Let me share my personal views with all of you about environmental destruction, about development, and then we will go into the little bit nitty-gritties of the cases that we have filed. Basically, urban-centric development model is what we have adopted for last so many decades. This urban-centric development model has resulted in huge migration from rural to urban India, beyond the capacity of the cities, beyond the capacity of the urban India to accommodate that much population. This is leading to failure of the infrastructure facilities in the cities at the cost of the health of the cities. We can compare it with human anatomy also. Many problems, actually, whether in architecture or in environment, also can be compared with human anatomy, and we can find out the exact cause and solution as well with that comparison. See, cities have grown much beyond their capacities. They are putting extra burden, extra stress on the infrastructure available. That's like someone becoming obese. If someone becomes obese, what do we do? Do we continue to give him high calorie diet to encourage to become more obese, or we strictly monitor the diet? We certainly never encourage our own obesity. Then why make the cities so obese and fat? The cities are encroaching upon the environment, upon the natural resources by becoming obese, by becoming malignant. In fact, there are only two things on this planet that never stop growing. Only two things. That is human greed and our cities. This is very unnatural. And as we all know, specifically in the current circumstances, that we are paying very, very heavy price for the destruction of natural resources, for the destruction of environment around us. Now, as far as urban development is concerned, the environmental issues that are related to urban development are like, I'm just mentioning it: solid waste management, air pollution, water pollution, noise pollution, traffic jams, and even crime. And these days we are experiencing everywhere, not only in Mumbai, but everywhere, not only in India, but around the world, a new problem, that is urban flooding. This is an independent subject of research and solutions. I'm going to focus more on this issue of urban flooding, as I have done whatever work I have done is with rivers in urban that are flowing through the urban India, that are flowing through the cities. So it is related to urban flooding. What is causing urban flooding? Flooding is basically because of the encroachments on riverbeds and unbridled soil capping. Everywhere, concretization, tarmac, entire soil in the cities is being capped. There is no scope for rainwater to percolate into the ground. Solutions are attempted for every problem in the cities, but not in villages. In villages, there is no 24/7 electricity. Though we are an electricity exporting country, we export electricity to Nepal and Bangladesh. There is no sufficient water in the villages, no education, no health facilities, no job opportunities. So, what is happening? At the end of the day, there is massive migration from rural India to cities, crowding the cities, densification of urban areas, adding more stress on the existing infrastructure, as I said, shortage of space and facilities lead to encroachment on environment and destruction of natural resources, may it be rivers, may it be hills, whatever it is. Governments have always given unsustainable solutions to relieve this stress temporarily. When temporary solution is given, more migration takes place, causing further destruction. This vicious cycle needs to be stopped. The need of the hour is to de-stress the cities. It is a time to slow down, stop, and finally revert the migration. We should stop giving those temporary solutions to the urban problems. And for that, maybe I should say, we need the cities to be little inconvenient now. We need to adopt a balanced development model because our cities will never be healthy if our villages are not healthy. Till then, as far as environment is concerned, till then, as natural resources are concerned, the only options are social awareness and fighting on the legal grounds, legal battleground, so to say. Yes, Mihir.
That definitely gives us an idea of why you entered into litigation. But as an architect, what do you think? Because I believe you're also a member of the planning committee for the development plan for Pune. So, as an
Yeah.
architect, sir, how do you think, or what skills or special attributes would you say arm you in entering into such kind of environmental litigation? And how does that also help you understand the situation better?
See, basically, as an architect, I was having different viewpoints before I became the member of the planning committee. When I became the planning committee member, I got an opportunity to have a completely different perspective of urban development, how the development plans are prepared, what are the concerns of the people, what are the solutions given. And frankly speaking, everywhere in development plan, what I have seen is road widening, road widening, and road widening. Rise in FSI, that's all. We never consider our poor citizens as far as what's going to happen to their small houses, what's going to happen to their small shops when you are going to widen the roads. Only giving FSI cannot be a solution. And by giving FSI, you are just making the cities more densified. That may not be the right solution. So, as far as architectural and particularly from urban perspective is concerned, as I said earlier, we we need to know what should be the maximum population of that particular city. What are the available resources at that particular location? 4 or 5 people can stay in a 2 bedroom flat, but not 20. That will become too much of a crowd. It will not be comfortable, convenient, or healthy for everybody, for anybody residing, occupying that space. So city also, or any town, any village, also we can apply the same logic. There is a limit to that as far as population is concerned, and we need to identify that limit and devise all development plans accordingly, according to the available water, according to the available space and everything. Yeah.
The fact that you are a professional architect definitely gave you a different perspective on environmental litigation. And while we were discussing about this, you told me that there are some very unique aspects about the environmental law in India, and in particularly the National Green Tribunal Act of 2010. So could you please elaborate
Yeah.
that a little bit?
Yeah. See, the problem of environmental abuse or destruction of natural resources is more in India because we are a developing country and we have a huge population. Fortunately, we have National Green Tribunal in India, and we are the third country in the world to have an independent tribunal, an independent court, so to say, only to entertain environment related cases. Australia was the first when they established the Green Court in 1979. New Zealand was second in 1996, and India was third when we established National Green Tribunal in 2012. We call it NGT, National Green Tribunal. It is formed under NGT Act 2010. It was formulated in 2010. And the appellate jurisdiction that NGT covers is Water Prevention and Control of Pollution Act, Forest Act, Air Pollution Act, Environment Protection Act, and Biodiversity Act 2002. And if we look behind, National Green Tribunal in India has taken up some very serious matters, so moto also, like the recent mishap that happened in South India, LG Chemicals, or the death of that elephant in Kerala, or even Delhi air pollution cases. Now, I will not go into the intricacies of the act. I am not a lawyer, as I said. Section 20 of NGT Act is very interesting. That much only I want to highlight. Section 20 says the tribunal shall, while passing any order or decision or award, apply the principles of sustainable development, the precautionary principle, and the polluter pays principle. That's all. That is the section 20. So here you can go to the court as a precaution also, and that is very important as far as environmental damage is concerned. And uniqueness of National Green Tribunal is that there are minimum two members of the bench, and one is a judicial member and the other one is an expert member. I mean, only in NGT you can argue on technical grounds also, because expert member in that subject is there to understand the merits, scientific merits, technical merits of the case, factual scientific merits, and that is given weightage in NGT also. That's what we have experienced in many cases, and that's the very uniqueness of NGT.
So, sir, like you said that, and the NGT Act is quite unique, and it's like you said, it's only the third country in the world which has a forum to redress grievances regarding the environment. Now, I would like to take you back to the year 2010, or when you first encountered the NGT Act. I believe it was already about 3 or 4 years since you had already entered into your first litigation by the time the NGT Act came about. Now, one of the objectives of today's sessions is to make people understand whether it is easy, difficult, impossible for any person with or without a lawyer to enter into litigation or not. So there must have been a time when you picked up the NGT Act in your hands for the first time. As a lawyer, I'm used to the legal language, I'm used to the procedures. But as someone not who is not a lawyer, what was your experience in understanding that? Now, when we are discussing and preparing for this webinar, I had told you how people approach me and talk about different issues relating to the environment or some other issues which are of public importance, but they are not sure how to proceed. So, from your example, I would also like them to understand whether at all it is possible for everybody to approach the appropriate forum by understanding the law. Could you please elaborate on that a bit?
Yeah. See, theoretically speaking, it is possible for everybody to approach NGT even without a lawyer, but practically it's very difficult and not advisable, so to say, because the case fans out with in many other laws, like I mentioned, five acts. So you have to relate these issues in maybe one, two, or maybe five acts, depending upon the case, and you have to study all these acts, which is not possible for any person if he is not a lawyer. Very difficult. There are people I have seen who are standing independently before National Green Tribunal and making arguments on their own successfully. But if it's only one or two cases, one or two issues, then fine, it's possible. But particularly when you are taking up many issues at many locations, the issues may be similar to each other, but in that case, it's always better to have a lawyer along with you. No problem, even if you argue personally along with your lawyer. In fact, I would say you should. And with a lawyer, with that particular legal perspective along with you, and your own understanding of the technical intricacies of the particular case, I think your case becomes stronger before the bench.
Sure, sir. Now, we discussed about how you got into environmental litigation, and we also talked about the uniqueness of the NGT Act, and then right now we just talked about whether at all it is possible, according to you, for somebody to approach the appropriate forum by himself or herself. What did you do, sir? How did you approach this? And then could you also talk about how you approached the two or three cases that we had talked about at the start of this webinar? So that way, people could understand how they could approach a particular problem and how they could understand what steps to take properly.
Yeah. See, basically, I filed first case on 4th of January 2013. Almost that time NGT had just started, and the NGT bench was only principal bench was working in Delhi, and their divisional benches at Kolkata, Chennai, Pune, and Bhopal were not working. They started working in 2014. But as I filed the cases in 2000, I filed three cases on the same day before principal bench. The cases were heard by principal bench only, and yeah, I filed the cases along with a lawyer. Advocate Asim Sarode was our lawyer in all those cases, and at that stage it was not possible for me to file a case independently. I was not aware whether it was allowed or not. But even today also, I will not prefer to file any case without a lawyer. A lawyer alongside is very good, should be there, and that's how we started. Now, as far as my cases are concerned, I'll just mention a few of them. The first one, the first success, so to say, we got in a Vittalwadi Road, Riverbed Road case. In Pune, actually, there are 5 rivers flowing through the city. It's a highly flood-prone city, Pune, and there are 7 dams on the immediate upstream side of the city. So it's a highly flood-prone city with a saucer-shaped topography. And Mutha River is the major river that flows through Pune city, and Khadakwasla Dam is the dam on the immediate upstream side. A Pune Corporation was constructing a huge 80 feet wide road right in the riverbed. Can we see the first slide? Yeah. So this was that 80 feet wide road right in the riverbed. You can see the RCC walls. This road was about 30 to 40 feet above the riverbed, and by they had dumped around 60,000 truckloads of soil and debris for the road between those two RCC retaining walls, huge retaining walls. Around 4,000 tons of steel was used for these RCC walls. We raised objections right from the beginning for this construction of the road, but ultimately Pune Corporation went ahead with the construction. So, as the last option, we approached National Green Tribunal, and National Green Tribunal gave the verdict in our favor, gave the judgment, and asked PMC to remove that road. PMC challenged it and challenged the NGT judgment in Supreme Court, but they were thrown out. And Irrigation Department had categorically said that construction of this road would reduce the cross section of the river, reduce the flood carrying capacity of the river by 26%. And in spite of that, PMC wanted to go ahead with this construction. You can see the second slide where construction of that road is going on, and this is in 2011. The construction of the road was going on, and see what had happened due to the flooding. Even the buildings were submerged. One floor of the buildings, many buildings, was submerged because of the reduction in the carrying capacity of the river. So we won the case. At the end of the day, Pune Municipal Corporation had to remove the debris of the entire road. That is seen in the third slide. Yeah, see, the entire retaining walls are being demolished, and the soil is taken away and dumped somewhere else away from the riverbed. And unfortunately, we, the citizens, had to bear a cost of around 30 crore rupees to save river from this encroachment because of unscientific approach of our own corporation. Yeah. Then similarly, yeah, you can see the pillars constructed right on the riverbed. You can see the construction machinery. That is the ongoing construction of metro again on Mutha riverbed in Pune. We filed a case in 2016 against construction of metro. It was completely on the inside floodplain, inside floodlines of on prohibitive zone of Mutha River. We filed a case before NGT in 2016. NGT constituted an expert committee comprising of 3 senior scientists from Maharashtra Pollution Control Board, NEERI, National Environmental Engineering Research Institute, and MSBB, that is Maharashtra State Biodiversity Board, to assess the impact of this construction on the riverbed. Honestly speaking, that committee never worked impartially. The committee worked only to see how metro can go ahead, how the construction of metro can go ahead. You can see here also in this slide. And they gave the report completely in favor of metro. Completely in favor of metro. And NGT gave green, based upon the expert committee's opinion, NGT gave uh, green signal to the construction of metro, which is going ahead. Later on, we challenged the expert committee's report on technical merits, on scientific merits, some facts. And after lot many arguments, we went to Supreme Court also. Supreme Court directed that the expert committee should hear us out. We presented ourselves before the expert committee. We presented some critical documents, crucial documents. And as of now, the expert committee, comprising of 3 senior scientists from big government organizations, has accepted that the report they prepared, remember, on which the NGT judgment was based upon, the report the expert committee prepared was not correct. It was having lot many discrepancies, and the expert committee members relied on the data which was given to them by the respondents, which is ethically absolutely wrong. I mean, if you collect any data from any party, any interested party, you firstly you should not collect the data. You should collect the data independently from concerned government organizations, not from any interested party, neither from applicant nor from respondent, and you should verify the authenticity of the data. They never did so because they did not wanted to do so. They had been given directions by the government to go ahead with the metro. So as of now, the metro construction is going ahead, but the expert committee has accepted that their report is faulty and the entire assessment of particularly hydraulic aspect needs to be reassessed in this case. We are going ahead with that litigation again. Now, another case is what happened. Instead of putting one encroachment, we are basically working upon encroachments upon the riverbeds, as I told right in the beginning, to avoid urban flooding. Now, as far as encroachments are concerned, what we thought that instead of going ahead with only one a case with against only one encroachment, it has become a generic problem. The encroachments are happening everywhere. So we decided to bundle 12 different encroachments, symbolic, representative encroachments in and around Pune in different rivers. Maybe Mula, Mutha, Pavna, Indrayani, Ram Nadi, Dev Nadi. So we identified 12 different encroachments in the river. I'll just show you those slides, how the encroachments are. Yeah, next slide. This is the metro going on in the riverbed. Yeah, see, on the left side, you can see what is the width of the river. Okay, this is again Mutha River before confluence with Mula. You can see the width of the river and the encroachment dumping done again by Metro, DMRC. These people are really reckless people. They never bother for environment. They just mean their own business and passion for money. Nothing more than that. Let me be honest. See, hardly 20-25 feet channel is left for the river to flow. This is for the convenience of construction of a bridge. Fine. You can do it if it is required. You should do it temporarily, but not in rainy season. This was done during the rainy season of 2019 when Pune city experienced floods. This is another encroachment. See, the photographs are extremely important, and we have presented all these photographs before National Green Tribunal. This is Mula River. You can see the height of the encroachment, the landmass that has been generated by reclaiming the floodplains of the river. Next. Same way, landmass is generated and building permissions are also given at such locations. I do not know how this land is owned by private parties. Here also, this is near the confluence of Mula River and Ram Nadi. Imagine if such an encroachment is made. Height of this, you see the height of the buildings behind. Height of this encroachment is minimum of 5 to 6 storied buildings. And if such an encroachment takes place near the confluence of two rivers, what will happen? And because of this particular encroachment, it, 2019 floods caused massive damage to one hospital. The cost of those damages is around 30 to 40 crore rupees. One Jupiter hospital. Now, this is another encroachment being done for some industrial work. This is hardly 2 to 3 kilometers downstream of Khadakwasla Dam. And unfortunately, during the floods, this photograph was taken sometime in late 2018, and during the floods of 2019, all this dumping was washed out, completely washed out the entire soil. Again, it's back to square one. Now, this is another dumping made landmass created for illegal industrial sheds. Again, height of this mass is, dumping is around 60 to 70 feet, 6 to 7 storied buildings. And illegal industrial sheds are constructed on this. Thanks to the local mafias, what we call as corporators and leaders, and thanks to electricity supply board, who provides energy to such illegal structures also. They do not have any effluent treatment facility. They do not have even sewage treatment facility. So whatever sewage generated and whatever industrial effluent is generated in these industries flows directly into the river. Now I'll come to some very interesting encroachment. It's very genius. You can find it. Yeah. See, uh, this again is Mutha River. It is flowing from left to right. Okay. This location is hardly 1.5 to 2 kilometers downstream of Khadakwasla Dam. Now you can see a small structure at the bottom of the slide. Okay, that is an ashram, and there is that is on the right bank of the river, and on left bank, right bank is Nanded village and left bank is Shivne village. There is a profile of almost semicircular ground floodplain. Okay, this is a photograph. This is a Google image. See how Google images help us. This is very important. This is a Google image dated 19th February 2014. Now let us see the next image. This image is 11th March 2014. Now you can see, yeah, just hold on this side. You can see a very narrow channel. A very narrow channel is dug on that left bank to cut off that portion of land from the left bank. The water started flowing from that small channel. The river was flowing mainly as per the original course, but river water started flowing because of gravity, because of the slope, through that hardly 4 feet, 5 feet wide channel. This is in March 2014. Now next slide please. Now what is done? That channel is widened. Okay, and soil dumping on the original course of river has started. So that around 3 acres of land is like an island, which was actually a part of the left bank. Now it has become like an island, and uh, water is flowing from both the sides. And now you see the next slide. See, that portion now has become a part of the right bank. River is flowing. River course of the river is completely diverted by around 100 meters from right to left, and this happened in broad daylight. This is in 2018. No one can say that this happened in darks. This happened in broad daylight, and it cannot happen without collusion with concerned government authorities of maybe corporation or the irrigation department officials in that time, during that time. This is a broad daylight robbery of about 3 acres from left bank of the river to the right bank of the river. And this was done by those ashram people. We have filed a case. This is one of the instances in those out of those 12 instances that we have filed in NGT. I wanted to highlight this only to emphasize that Google images, and even photographs also, chronological, make lot of excellent evidential proofs to support our cases. Yeah. This was the most unique example, and these were the 3 major cases. 2 of that are going on. One is closed, with which we have one on Vittalwadi Road, and yeah, there are many other cases also going on. Maharashtra National Green Tribunal directed the state government of Maharashtra to identify and mark the floodlines of all rivers in the state. See, basically there are 2 types of floodlines: blue line and red line. Blue flood line identifies the level of the flood at that particular location, which may occur once in every 25 years. And red lines are the lines identifying the flood level of the flood that may occur once in 100 years. So blue lines are towards the center of the river, and red lines are on the outer side. The portion between 2 blue lines, the middle portion of the riverbed, is no development zone. It is prohibitive zone. Nothing is allowed. No construction, no dumping is allowed in prohibitive zone. And in restrictive zone, construction is permissible, but with certain conditions. And there also, you cannot change you cannot change the cross section of the river. Yes, there are some discrepancies in the government notification also, but this is prima facie. Within floodlines, the cross section of the river cannot be changed, so that to maintain the flood carrying capacity of the river. That is very important. Yeah. Mihir?
Yes, sir. So that was a beautiful explanation and a wonderful journey through the different cases that you have gone through. And like we discussed, these cases kind of elaborate the steps that somebody could take at the mere basic level. For example, relying upon Google images or looking at the expert committee reports. Now, the reason why we also talked about these examples was to tell the viewers or the general public who may be watching this what steps they could possibly take before approaching any lawyer or before entering into any kind of litigation. There are different things, and I know them, but the reason why I approached you, sir, was there is sometimes a lack of confidence or lack of trust between a lawyer's advice and as against somebody like you who has entered into litigation by himself using probably your own money, or maybe you're a part of some organization and then using those funds. But this is not something that you have done for gain or profit or personal improvement, so to say. So, so that people understand whether and how they could approach litigation. Sir, could you just go briefly into what was your approach in the first case? How has it changed over time? Now, did you, and there must have been some kind of strategy that you must have adopted when you filed the first case. Did that strategy change over the time as you gained more and more experience? Did you then, and did you change in terms of making certain taking certain precautions, and did you kind of rectify any mistakes? So could you just talk about that a bit, how your experience or how you have changed right from the first case maybe about 12 13 years ago till now, and how and whether that experience and how that experience has molded your ability to approach litigation?
Yeah. See, as far as my case is, as of now, my battleground is only National Green Tribunal and then, of course, Supreme Court. Now, as far as NGT is concerned, I'm working on it for last almost 9 years, so to say. I filed the first case in the on 4th Jan of 2013, and maybe 8-10 months before that, I was working on the preparation of the cases. So it's almost 9 years. It's a journey, so to say, and in journey everything changes, and definitely further also in future also I'll have to change myself, my approach, my strategy. Initially, maybe the case I filed in 13, one of the first cases from Maharashtra, because that time NGT bench was not there in Maharashtra. It is in Pune right now, but defunct, unfortunately. Our initial approach was not very defined, actually, and not very focused. We were learners. We collected huge piles of documents and got little lost in it, frankly speaking. But it's a learning curve at the end of the day, and everyone has to traverse through that. Well, presenting unnecessary documents before court should be avoided, actually, for two reasons. Firstly, to facilitate the judges to arrive quickly at the conclusion, because they are also occupied with many other cases. If your case, your documents, your evidences are focused, are sharp, then it's easier for the judges also to arrive at their conclusion. And also to plug possible openings of needless arguments by defending lawyers. Because in environment related cases, many a times the lawyers from project proponents, they want to kill time. They want to arrive, they want to achieve fait accompli status. Then it becomes difficult, even if you are right. So, to make the cases more crisp, to arrive at and to save your resources and energy also, keep the documentation as crisp as possible, as short as possible. Support your cases with good chronological photographs with dates on it, dated photographs, and if required, satellite images as evidences. And even you have to work out a strategy. For every case, you have to identify who are the culprits, who are the organizations who allowed this destruction. Sometimes there are private parties, sometimes there are government organizations, sometimes both. There is a recent case which we have filed last week. I'll just mention that case. Pune Corporation, whether wrongfully or rightfully, has laid a huge sewer trunk line, 5 feet diameter sewer in Mutha riverbed. And because of some private parties, I will not name them here, because of some private parties encroaching upon the riverbed, dumping huge soil on the riverbed, they dumped massive soil, massive debris on this 5 feet diameter sewer line, and the line broke. And imagine raw sewage, untreated sewage was flowing right in Mutha River for almost 2 months. The quantity was minimum 90,000 to 1 lakh cubic meters a day. It must have polluted the entire river up to, I don't know, at least Ujni Dam. And it must have polluted the groundwater as well. It's horrible. So we insisted, we pursued Pune Municipal Corporation to repair the line, and now we have filed a case in National Green Tribunal to for compensation from those as a polluter pays principle against those private parties who have dumped soil on that. So it needs to be supported with all documents, evidences, and photographs. Be strategic. Here we have not made only corporation or irrigation department as the respondents. Here we have made basically those private individuals as the respondents and ask for compensation from them. Yeah. Mihir?
Yes, sir. So this is definitely one aspect of how you prepare for a case and how you have understood the workings of the judiciary to a certain extent. What has been your experience with advocates or lawyers in India? We have the Advocates Act, so anybody who wishes to practice has to be registered under the Advocates Act, just like I'm sure doctors and architects also need to register under their respective acts and their respective apex bodies. So, what has been your experience with advocates? Do you find it difficult to communicate with them? Do you feel that the passion that you have is whether it is echoed or not echoed with the advocates, or whether it is, or do you find the same with the members of the panel as well?
Yeah, basically, all lawyers do not come from technical background. And that is why it's very important to explain all technical intricacies, all technical details to your lawyer. Make him understand it. Before that, personally, the applicant has to understand it. Applicant has to collect all the record, prepare the entire story, how the things happened, how the situation developed, what are the causes, who are the encroachers, who are the culprits. The entire picture is to be created by the applicant. And lawyer is the person who puts the right frame around that picture. So as I said, all lawyers are not from technical background. So it's very important that we explain all the technical details to the lawyer, discuss each and every draft, affidavit, and reply with your lawyer in details. I have done it. Fortunately, our lawyer was kind enough to allow me to do so. In courtrooms also, stand shoulder to shoulder with your lawyer. As and when required, pitch in for arguments, particularly for on technical grounds, because you are the person who knows the case from all angles. You have to be the captain of the game. Handing over all documents to the lawyer is the beginning, not the end of the game. And as far as communication with lawyer is concerned, I have never found it difficult at all. Yes, there were some few moments of discomfort, but for the sake of the cause you are fighting for, you have to iron out those moments. Go ahead with the lawyers. And yes, once the lawyers understand the cause, your dedication, the lawyers become your friends. And making a lawyer a friend or making a doctor a friend for that matter is very important, very critical, and very useful.
Sir, I realize that as you are speaking for the last almost an hour, I hear a lot of technical terms that we as lawyers take for granted. But then we also realize that the common man doesn't understand these. For example,
Yeah.
the words like benches, affidavits, roll off your tongue as if it's second nature and it's a part of your language. How long did it take for you to become comfortable with these terms?
Not really very long because I was sitting along with the lawyer during the drafting and all that. Advocate Asim Sarode initially, and we were transacting the drafts and all that. It's not very difficult actually. It's not very difficult. See, basically, as I feel, law is based upon common sense. That's all. Common logic. So it's not at all very difficult. Yes, drafting was initially done by the lawyers, and I used to just go through and add a few things or maybe use some different terminologies, etc. It was not at all difficult. See, basically there has to be, passion. Yeah, and you have to create that passion in every soul who is there, who is involved in the case, in the issue.
Definitely, sir. We'll just run through a few questions now. So,
Yeah.
what kind of precautions would you generally advise people to take? And if it's a PIL, or even more particularly a environment-related PIL, is there something specific that you would advise them?
Yeah. See, basically, let me be a little blunt. I should mention that one should be successful in generating that passion in the lawyers. It is possible. But there are two types of lawyers as far as environmental cases are concerned. One who are passionate for the cause and they always will fight for the affected. And the other one who are not passionate either for the cause nor for the environment. And such lawyers always fight for project proponents. I have seen a clear division like this, left and right, between the lawyers in National Green Tribunal. Now, see, basically, While filing a case in, or for that matter, not necessarily in National Green Tribunal, in any court, basically the applicant should be prepared to invest time and some money. Well, money can be sourced. There are people in society who come ahead and help you, but time cannot be sourced. So maybe I would say time is more precious. Study the issues and its cause in details on legal as well as technical fronts. In NGT, if you are going to NGT, technical fronts, technical merits, scientific merits are as important as legal merits, because there is a subject expert sitting on the bench. I repeat it. So strategically use documentation, collect documentation, RTI is there, utilize RTI. It takes time. See, if there is a cause, if I start working on that, it will take for me a few months or at least a few weeks to file a case in the court of law. Collect news items published in newspapers with photographs. Take your own photographs, visit the sites, take your own dated photographs, and according to the site conditions, find out, record Google images of different dates, so that you can put the evidence in black and white, which cannot be rejected by anyone by any court. So that is very important before filing such petitions.
Right, sir. And my last question. It has been generally observed in my practice as well as my father's experience. It happens many a time that people come to us, and unfortunately, our practice is mainly at the Bombay High Court. And unfortunately, what happens is, for most of the people that come to the High Court, it is their last chance to seek redressal of their grievances. After that, of course, one can approach the Supreme Court. But I'm sure you also would agree with me that going to the Supreme Court is a big step and requires a lot of planning, a lot of time as well as money goes into it. But at least for the High Court, which is still within the state, what happens is many a time we see that it has not been prosecuted properly at the lower courts or in any other lower forum, be it a tribunal or any other court. And it so happens, unfortunately, sometimes that due to less financial resources or due to a different understanding of how they should choose a lawyer, or we just seen that there is a general propensity to just choose someone or go for someone who charges the lowest fees. What has, or have you experienced this, or did you ever go for the lawyer with the lowest fees? Have you burnt your fingers in this? What has been your experience in this? Like you all just now talked about how the costs can be managed, but as far as lawyers' fees are concerned, how would you advise people to look at this aspect about lawyers' fees?
See, basically, I didn't want to burn my fingers, and fortunately, uh, we found a lawyer who was ready to work without any financial commitment from our side. Yes, we paid him, but I don't know whether it's enough or more than enough. He also never bothered. He also is dedicated, was dedicated for the cause. Anyway, that's for in our case. But I would ask those people, if you are not well, do you select a doctor who charges minimum? No, you cannot do so. You go to a doctor in whom you have that faith. So similarly, while selecting a lawyer also, it's irrational to select a lawyer who charges less, minimum. It's not rational, and it will not lead to your purpose. And for such environmental causes, let me tell you, good lawyers are ready to work at very reasonable costs. Because see, this is not for personal asset development. In fact, it puts a big hole in our personal expenses also, personal pocket also. But see, basically, fees should not be the criteria while selecting the lawyer. Lawyers' expertise, let me highlight honesty and involvement in the cause should be the criteria. In fact, from this platform, I would take the opportunity to appeal, request, urge the lawyers to help the applicants, to help the affected, to save, protect our environment for our next generation. It's my request to all lawyers. Mihir.
Thank you, sir, for going through that question and elaborating on that aspect so brilliantly, actually. Just as there is a propensity to go for the lawyer that charges the lowest fees, sometimes we have also seen that even though there is good advice available, and that may not actually be expensive, or it might be an easier way out. Sometimes what happens is, there is a it doesn't cost much, but it's a more difficult road, or it's a more time consuming mode, but it doesn't cost much. But then some people are advised by somebody, you pay this much. And I'm not talking about any kind of corruption, but they're just saying that, okay, you pay this much or you pay extra, and that is official and legal, and then you will get the results quickly. And then people say, oh no, he's not giving me proper advice. That other person is saying that, oh, you pay so much more, and then you will get quick results. So unfortunately, that also happens. Now we don't know whether that actually gives them results or not, but this also happens. And there is also a mindset which says that, okay, since that person is charging more, he must definitely be good, or since that person is charging more, the remedy that he is suggesting would be the better remedy. So as a lawyer, I would just say it is definitely a difficult choice for litigants to make, but money should not be the criteria. And like you have uh,
Absolutely.
talked about that particular aspect, that and we tell this to people a lot of times, that law is basically common sense and logic. And nobody is so unintelligent that they would not have that kind of common sense or logic, and everybody should apply that.
Absolutely.
And it's not really that difficult. We have seen courts be very reasonable and very lenient with people who perhaps are not, forget well educated, but people who are not educated at all, and the courts do show leniency to them. So the courts are, and the judicial system is definitely available to help everyone. But the uh, There's a Latin maxim. I will not say that here, but I'll just translate that into English. Is that the law does not help one who sleeps over his own rights. So if you want to protect your own rights and enforce them, you need to be active, you need to be alert, and you need to take action if your rights have been uh, infringed upon in any way. So there is just one other question that we have from one of the viewers. Not exactly a question, but this is a comment from one Mr. Narendra Chug. He says, can the members of the lawyer community enlighten what is the remedy available if erroneous judgment is delivered based on a committee's report, which subsequently admits that the report was not correct? So, Mr. Chug, I would just like to say that unfortunately on this platform, we are unable to actually give you any advice on your specific query. But in general, what I would say is there is a remedy available for different orders and different actions of government authorities, and it's a really complicated issue where you need to really understand the act under which that authority comes, and then take that appropriate approach the appropriate forum and take the appropriate remedy. Not every challenge is an appeal, not every challenge is a writ petition, not every challenge is review or revision. So there are different terms for different kinds of challenges to an action and an order, and only your lawyer can or your advocate can advise you after understanding your situation properly. So that actually brings us to the end of the session, Mr. Yadwadkar. I thank you from the bottom of my heart for coming onto our channel and expressing your views and going through such an elaborate presentation of your experience over the last more than a decade in the National Green Tribunal and the Supreme Court. I'm quite sure and I hope that people would benefit from the guidance and the advice that you have given here.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
So thank you again so much, sir. And I hope to see you once this lockdown ends. And whenever I travel to Pune, I'll definitely call upon you.
Sure, sure. You are
Sure.
most welcome.
Thank you so much, sir, and have a good night.
Take care.
And to the viewers, thank you so much for joining us today, joining us in today's session. I hope this was beneficial for you and that you enjoyed it. There's just one thing that we'd like to clarify and put out a disclaimer that all the views expressed were that of Mr. Yadwadkar, and they are based on his own experiences. There was never any intention to offend or insult anyone, and we have all the most respect and honor and for the honorable courts and honor their judgments. So thank you again so much for joining us, and I hope you all stay safe and have a good evening. Please do like and subscribe to our channel so you can keep yourself updated about our next videos. Thank you and have a good night. Bye.